welcome back to Safety Harbor Scott. I'm Scott Long, and this is our show for the week of April 17th. And my guest this week is Mitch Ronacher, and he's here to talk about youth sports with a really unique perspective, I think. So he's not only a referee for youth sports all the way through college sports, right? Mm-hmm. You also coach youth sports, and you play college football, I believe, on scholarship, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and now you're a parent as well, too. So it's going to be a lot from the, I think we're going to talk a lot about youth sports from the refereeing side, obviously, but I want to hit on all those things, and that kind of made you like the perfect guest, because I would assume you see things from different vantage points depending on what hat you're particularly wearing that day, right?
Well-rounded.
So, all right, so I struggled to come up with how I want to start with this, because there's a lot of different questions I could ask here, but, you know, one of the things that when I used to travel for business before COVID a lot, like literally every time I'm in the airport, I overheard a conversation with a guy on the phone with his wife saying, well, when I get home, I'm going to tell the coach to give him the ball more, right? And so part of me was like, gosh, I'm glad that wasn't my dad, because that's kind of embarrassing. And I think I check that box of thinking youth sports has gotten too competitive. But at the same time, when I pull back and I think about it from the perspective of a parent, of a kid, of a coach, or even a referee, I guess I could see how those folks are protective of the people they love, right? Yeah. So that's probably part of the reason that things have gotten a little competitive, maybe.
A lot.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I mean, obviously, this kind of friction between all those different groups have been around since like the very first youth sports game. I'm sure a parent yelled at and a coach yelled at a kid, all that from the beginning, right? But have you noticed a change from when you were a kid playing sports to now when you're in a different role as a coach and a referee?
Yeah, so pretty much I think the really big difference is the players are pretty much still the same. I don't think the players are ever an issue really on the field. There's always a couple bad eggs. But honestly, it's the loss of the protection of the coach too. So these parents, they're no longer on the side of the coach. For instance, my father, I used to complain all the time to him back in the day when I was younger and immature of why I wasn't starting or why wasn't I getting enough snaps. And my dad, in a mature level, told me, well, I need to go to the coach and talk to him in a mature level and ask him, why am I not starting? Am I not getting more playing time? Why am I at this position? And if they're not behind the coach, like my father was, and was like, you deal with it, because he is a coach, and that should be separate from the parent. I feel like they don't have that anymore. There's none of that coach to parent relationship. It's now divided, and I think that's just over time of wanting their kids, like you said, to be successful or a soon to be scholarship athlete, which every athlete is, by the way. So it just allows, we lost that connection between that relationship because my dad was always for the coach. I feel like a little bit is against it because of playing time and those type of things.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I only coached a couple years of t-ball back in the day, and I had a rule where if my kids threw the bat, they were out. It wasn't a league rule; it's just my rule as a coach, because I'm trying to teach them, you know, that's a dangerous weapon they have, right? And I remember a couple times, like the big bopper on my team that would like hit a home run all day long off t-ball. It was crazy, right? But I called him out once, and his parents were like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, he threw the bat. And then like they turned to the kid and like, don't you ever do that again. So like, that was a good reinforcement then. And it sounds like what you're thinking now is that reinforcement doesn't happen as much anymore.
There is a little bit of division, and it's not like all like that. There's a lot of really good, strong-willed parents that are there for the coaches and there for the overall quality of good sportsmanship in the team. But I feel like there has been a little division of just parents not being on the coach's side and having the coach discipline them in a sports atmosphere. I feel like parents always want to discipline their own kids across the board, and sometimes that's not the case when it comes to sports.
Another thing I've kind of seen as well too is, I'm curious how much you've seen this from the referee standpoint of kids being torn between the coach and the parent, right?
Mhm.
So maybe the parent was a coach of them when they were younger on a team, or maybe they just like Friday Night Lights,
Yeah.
throwing the football in the backyard and telling
Yeah.
you how to do it, and then the coach there's a disagreement, I guess, between the coach and the player. I mean,
Mhm.
and the parent. It always seems like the kid's caught in between that.
Oh, it's kind of sad because, like I said, it's not really the players. A lot of you hear this around the bush that a lot of it's the kids, it's the players are different these days. The players are really kind of the same. There's gonna be, like I said, that bad egg, but I think it's the parents. They're trying to live throughout their kids,
Right.
which you see all the time, or they think they know best, and which is fine. You have an opinion of what's best. Look at sports. It's almost political on Facebook and social media.
Sure, yeah.
So that gets involved with the coach, and that usually sets that division between a coach and his player, because sometimes what are you going to listen to most? Your parents.
Yeah,
Right? That's hierarchy.
Yeah, right.
That will transition into an unhealthy relationship with the player and the coach, and that's just not good for overall.
And does that also affect the child's reaction to a referee?
Oh, of course, because that's another type of. So a coach has a role, right? They're the head poncho of that team. They're supposed to listen and learn from that coach. A referee is the same way, an official, right? You got to listen. You got to obey by the laws and rules of the game. And if you're not listening to your coach, even if the parents are not. You're not gonna pay. You're not gonna listen to a referee, which is a big thing we see on the field. Instead of saying yes sir or thank you for telling me that I will get better, they don't respond to us officials trying to help them out. We don't always want to throw a yellow flag.
Sure.
We want to try to help them not get in that situation again. And a lot of times they're just throwing their shoulder at us and turning away and then not listening, which can relate to that coach relationship and parent.
All right, we're way off track now, but it's fine. I want to ask one more question too, because I used to cover high school football as my first job, and in a rural Ohio area. So and football was big there, but there was I got this a lot both from parents and coaches telling me that they want the refs to let the kids play. I get here, let the kids play,
Yeah.
as hey, they're not professional players, so let them get away with some stuff that they won't be able to get away with when they're quote unquote not playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious about it, because I could probably defend that either way in a debate.
Yeah.
But from your standpoint, as a ref,
That one's hard because we have a job to do as an official or a referee. We go into to try to do our best job possible, and that's by portraying and making sure the rules are not broken, and if they are, we flag them, correct? Now, the whole letting the kids play, there has to be a borderline, right? You can't say just let them play and do unsportsmanlike acts, but then what is that line?
Sure.
When is holding necessary or anything like that? So it's kind of hard to say as an official, we never think of just let the kids play the game as of not doing our job as officials. What we do, in the mindset of an official, there's zones. We all have a job on the football field or the baseball field or whatnot. And our zones are, if there's nothing in our zone that we see, we do not call. We don't get into an opposite official zone and call their game. So even if they miss something and they don't call it, that it is what it is. Now, a lot of it is, does it have a lot of... does it affect the play? So if say a running back gets the ball from the QB, goes off the end of the tight end, and if that tight end is holding, a secure holding penalty, where should you call that penalty? Because it affects the play.
Sure.
That defensive lineman could not grab the running back to tackle him. So that is, we should call that call. It disrupts the play and doesn't allow the defender have the right to make a tackle. And that's when we throw a yellow flag.
Yeah.
For instance, we're not going to call holding call across the field that has nothing to do with the play. What that does is delay the game, and it, not as much a delay the game, expands it, and that's when sometimes stuff gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And when flags are all over the place, people get hot, coaches get hot, and players. So it has to be to the point and to the point of attack. That's what we call it. Is the point of attack. And if it doesn't threaten the play, we should not call it.
That's good. I like that. I mean, I'm not a ref, so I don't know, but that sounds good to me. So, all right. So, college athletics has changed so much in my life. You know, when I was growing up a kid, I used to go to the Ohio State games, and I mean, it just seemed fun. And now it seems so corporate to me, so competitive. No loyalty anymore. I'm like, you got this transfer portal where, kids just move on. You got these NIL deals now, where it seems like players go to college just to get more money than they do to play football or play baseball or anything. So I'm curious, from your standpoint, is that kind of stuff trickling down to youth sports? Is it really affecting youth sports yet, or not?
I don't think it's trickling down as an aspect of there has been young players that are in youth that have got already football scholarships, but I don't think that'll trickle down to a financial, I don't think they'll start getting sponsored by anybody just yet or anything like that. I really...
Or more like an attitude. I mean, when you're not seeing like little kids saying, show me the money yet.
Well, honestly, that can...
Okay.
Yeah, there's actually young kids and youth that are getting scholarships that probably are asking for that type of stuff already. But the attitude is just like parents that we were just talking about earlier. The parents want their kids to be the best that they can be, and they want them to go in the NFL. They're kind of living their dreams through their kids. Not saying the kids.
Well, and also loving their kids.
Yeah,
too, right?
exactly.
I mean, that's the other argument, right? So.
But you can see that they want a sense of. That they want their kids to be in that position, and the attitude comes along of a little bit more intense. So a lot of them are willing to actually financially pay for their kids to get more training, get better at what they do.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's more traveling these days, more practices and coaches and things like that than it was when I was a kid. But then again, I wasn't a great athlete, so. All right, so your son Colton, which, by the way, the cutest kid ever, I'm going to say that so you don't have to say that, isn't even 2 yet, so he's not playing sports as far as I know.
Yeah.
But knowing you, I know he's going to play sports, because I already know that you and your brother are fighting over whether he's going to play defense or offense, which I think is awesome, right? So you're new to the parent part of this, but you see parents every day with all their stuff. So what kind of expectations do you have for Colton, and what kind of expectations do you think you're going to have for him when you're in that spot, when you're not the ref and you're not the coach, you're just the dad?
I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately, just because he is fascinated with balls. He loves playing with soccer balls, footballs. For me, this is personally what I'm thinking about right now as a father of somebody who I want to be in sports. I am going to be a spectator. I do not want to coach Colton. I want to play football in the backyard and show him drills and techniques, but I'm not going to be a coach figure to him. I want to be the parent that supports him and cheers him on, even though if they might be getting killed 50-0, or he has struck out 3 times or missed 9 tackles. I want to be that person that can be like, hey, listen, I'm here to help you to get better, but I will not coach you. And I want it to be fun for him. I want to pass the ball in the backyard and kick the ball. But for me, I think the best thing a parent can do if they're not coaching their child in youth sports is sit back, cheer them on. Because really for me as a kid, I just really wanted to see my dad in the stands. I wanted to see him up there cheering me on. I really didn't need him coaching me. I just needed his presence and his acceptance. And that goes a long way. So as a coach and as an official and a former player, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to cheer him on. If he disrespects the coach, I'm going to make sure he does not do that next time. I'm going to be a parent and be respectful with that good coach relationship. But yeah, I'm going to sit back, cheer on. And when that happens later on, if there ever is a situation where I have to get involved, I will. But as a former coach and an official, I know how to probably go and take care of it on a nice,
That's definitely an interesting perspective, too, because one of the things I always felt bad for the coach's kid on any team I was on. And again, I was horrible, so it didn't really matter. But the coach's kid was always seemed to be the quarterback, always seemed to be the starting pitcher, and often justified because they were one of the best. But but they always, I mean, there's always, I think the rest of the team just kind of like, must be nice to be the coach's kid.
Yeah.
So it kind of put a little more pressure on the kid as well too. So that's another reason probably to go your route. So very interesting. All right, so technology, huge part of our world now. I mean, I fall down a rabbit hole every day about this Chat GPT and AI and stuff. It's fascinating to me that we're getting close to a point where humans are irrelevant. As much as I hate to say that, but it's clearly changed officiating now. You know, I sit at these Threshers games and I hear pitch challenge like every time. You know, when we're watching at home, we can see exactly where the ball went, and I can only imagine that umpires just feel rough about that, right? Because you're not a computer; you're a human being.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. The best ones make fewer mistakes than others, but even the best ones make mistakes, right? So where do you fall in this? Because you're passionate about this. You're hoping to make this even a bigger career for yourself, right?
Sir, yeah.
At the same time, you're not competing so much with other people right now. You're competing with robots, computers.
So technology, that one's rough. Because technology has helped the game in many ways, especially for football, especially in the NFL and college. They can review games. High school, we don't, unless you get to a state level in certain states. But I think it does take away a different aspect of the game where it's no longer has that fun feel of being just a natural competitiveness. Like if we're sitting there and always saying a computer tells us there's a strike compared to a human, just like humans, we have errors and we make mistakes. So does computers. They buffer, they pause and wait long, they break too. So even though they might be correct a lot of the times, it loses a nice good aspect of the game that we all grew up on, of seeing that ump behind the plate going strike, but also gives it that really cool emotion to it when they are wrong, that sense of intenseness, and when people start yelling and stuff. Technology is not going to go away. They will incorporate stuff as this sports industry becomes bigger and people make more money on it. You'll see a little bit more technological advance. But I do feel like in a couple of years we'll kind of have a pause where we try to keep the human aspect in the sports strong, and then, which I'm hoping, because I don't want a robot to take a position later on in my life, but I don't think it will make such an impact later on, because in the end we'll just lose the game, and we'll just we might as well just play on a computer and play Madden on the Xbox.
Right. It's not esports. That's why esports is taking off, right? It's not real. But okay, so last question. Kind of want to take you through your different roles, as we mentioned. And if you could give like one tip for folks from each of those perspectives on what they can do to make youth sports maybe more fun, or at least less angry. So, you know, from the referee standpoint, from the coach standpoint, parent, and kids.
When it comes to parents, just like I said, I want to be for Colton, just be a fan. Yes, you can say that's a bad call. That's happened over the years since all these sports have started. But just celebrate the game. Enjoy your time there. Celebrate who you're watching, or your kid and your child or your cousin. You want to be a fan. You want to celebrate. You want to cheer them on. Be more of a fan and celebrate the team and the accomplishments instead of be criticizing them and being against the team. That's just, we need to be more fans and less critics. Leave it to the critics on the TV and commentators. Just be fans, enjoy yourself. Of course, I get hot in certain situations, but for me, it's just keeping your mouth shut. It's honestly, it's not going to help the situation sometimes. So, and just join the game. Have your kid, the player, just have fun. Once you take that fun away, it's just not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
Just let them play. You can help them and tell them what to do and listen to their coach. But overall, you just need to be a better fan, and that trickles down. Has that trickle effect. It'll just make everything better. Coach relationship and player relationship.
I like that. That's great. All right, I'm going to start to do the news here, and then stick around. We'll have some fun.
Awesome.
Juice. All right. Once again, it's sponsored by Koalas Creative's new TeePublic Safety Harbor storefront featuring more than 90 Safety Harbor themed t-shirts and more. And you can check out that link in the show description. Kind of a big deal. Because of a lack of vendors, the city's 4th of July fireworks display appears headed for July 1st this year. Also Monday, the City Commission debated but decided not to move forward on any changes to the city's noise ordinance. For now, after receiving complaints from some residents about the increase of music on Main Street. And finally, Pinellas County Schools have released start times for schools next year, with a handful of schools getting significant changes, like 2 hours difference. Pretty crazy. All right, things to do this weekend. Thursday is April 20th, which means some 420 events, if you know, you know, including a reggae party at Barfly and a 4:20 p.m. screening of Up in Smoke at Gigawaters. Thursday is also a special author event with Sarah Penner at Shamsi. Friday, of course, is Third Friday. You know, you'll see me down there for that. And Saturday, the Chamber's annual Health and Wealth Expo at Nova Southeastern University. And more details on all these news and things to do items and plenty more can be found on the Quaz 34695 app, available for free download at the Google Play and Apple App Store. All right, are you ready to do our 5 questions?
Let's do it.
All right, so as usual, as you know, we have 2 options. Famous Hungarian violinist of the 1680s, still unopened, or sports.
Let's go sports.
Sports, all right.
Yeah, that was
right.
intimidating, the other one.
At some point, I need to make this a little bit harder so people might go for the violinist questions. So, all right. Sports was a big thing for me to go through, so I had to whittle down the best 5 questions I could ask you. So let's see. All right, cue number 1. Sport your friends might be surprised to learn that you were really into.
Ooh. Curling.
Curling.
Yes, it's epic. Bunch of dads out there doing their thing. Or women too.
I have to agree with you. I love the Winter Olympics because curling. The funny thing is, curling. I mean, no disrespect to curling athletes when I say it's not a sport, but it's more like it's a game. It's like a bar kind of thing, right? So any sport where I can see me still.
Yeah,
like the worst athlete ever playing, but curling is a lot of fun and very strategic too.
No,
right?
strategic. Honestly, their arm stamina must be huge because the motions of those sticks when they go, it's incredible.
Yeah, great team sport too. You gotta like sweep and there's a lot of stuff going on there. All right, good. We agreed on that. Cue number 2. Best sports movie of all time.
Oh, that one's hard.
Always a hard one.
Ooh, best sports movie. Let's go. I'm a big football guy, but Sandlot was just
Sandlot.
All my memories go back to Sandlot. I just wanted to play baseball in the backyard in that lot. Hopefully not break a window. Yeah, right. Which sorry, Dad, I broke a couple back in the day, but yeah.
That's a good one. I haven't seen that in a while, but that's a very good one. Very good one. Hoosiers is always my go-to. It's actually one of my best favorite movies of all time too. I like the underdog story.
Yeah.
Always been an underdog.
A Rudy story, like the Rudy Wolves FRC.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many sports movies that I can't turn off, but Hoosiers is one that I don't. If I'm flipping channels, it's on. I'm watching. I'm watching it again. All right, cue number 3. It's a little controversial here. NFL concussion protocol. Too restrictive. Not restrictive enough.
Oh,
just right.
That's a hard one because we're getting.
By the way, he's a Dolphins fan.
Big Dolphins fan. Sorry to you're still not cleared, you poor thing. Honestly, the side effects that we're getting now from former players or current players, it's important. The whole Tua situation, he hasn't been cleared yet, but we've seen his incidents and visually we've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're doing enough right now. I don't think they're doing too much. I think you need to protect the players later on in life because, for instance, I've had a couple concussions and they scare me to this day. So I'd rather them be a little bit more, strict on it and make sure they protect the players instead of being lenient and let them go out and play. Yeah. So
it's a tough spot to be in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because from a fan standpoint, and I'm somebody who's never played football other than like just on the, the park as a kid, right? So, I mean, as a fan, I think we fall into this like. We love to celebrate those big hits, right? Like, man, we just laid him out. But that's a real person.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's a real person that just got laid
Yeah.
out. And then when we hear about this stuff about, brain injuries later on, it's like, sometimes I feel bad.
No, and for
Sure.
instance, in college, we had chips on the back of our ear that they put on for a study, and we did it for multiple years, and we had them practice in games. And funny enough, the biggest impacts we've had was in practice, not the games.
Really?
Yeah, so that was the conclusion. So we had more concussion impacts in practice than in games. So that's it came a long way, and it was a study by the Madison, Wisconsin Athletic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Cue number 4. Best memory of anything to do with sports from your childhood. So playing sports, watching sports, anything to do with sports.
Oh, whew. Best ever. I was 8 years old. My dad, I was actually coaching the junior leagues in the countryside. We were reversing the Clearwater Tornadoes. I took a handoff and I was a linebacker.
Oh, really?
And I remember it was my first touchdown ever. I went 60 yards and I literally took the handoff. I hit the snap really hard, got the handoff, went 60 yards for a touchdown, and I can hear the announcer in the background screaming my name. And then after, they actually took me up to the booth, and I was on loudspeaker.
Oh, wow.
Describing what happened that play after the game, and that was very memorable for me. That was fun.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I wasn't a great athlete, so I don't have a lot of good memories of me playing, but we've always got to Ohio State games, and I remember like being the top level. There was a game when John Elway was at Stanford, and I was a kid watching that, and of course he beat Ohio State. So, but I think I lost my mom a couple years ago, so obviously I always have these memories of my mom just like running up and down the field, screaming at my brother, and not like, "You're horrible, get better," but just encouraging, right? And man, I just miss those memories. So, and my brother was a much better athlete than I was. All right, final cue number 5. Trying to decide who was the best of all time in any sport. Worthwhile discussion to have, or just useless bar banter?
Ooh. Useless bar banter is the whole LeBron and Michael James. LeBron James and Michael Jordan.
Different eras.
Different
right?
eras,
Yeah.
that thing.
So is this a worthwhile discussion to have, or is it just stupid stuff you have?
Stupid stuff. 2 different eras. They're both amazing athletes. They're both great in their generation, in their time. The one that's a good conversation is the Dan Marino and Elway.
Okay.
Which better QB are those two?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but the argument that I can buy, and I'm curious whether you could buy it too, is comparing stars against the competition they played. So, for example, if somebody is, I'm trying to figure out the best base stealer, like what was like Lou Brock's competition
Yeah, exactly.
at the time,
Yep.
versus whoever the best base stealer is now. I don't know, but and if there's a lot of separation between that at the time, that's probably an indication of dominance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, honestly, it's even just not the players. The games have changed. Look at technology, what it's done to the games. Football was more tight in the box, and then now it's spread out, and it's deep balls and a lot of passing. So different eras. It's just you got to compare to the, like you said, the players during that their own era, because they're all it's just different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's just different. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it. For you parents, coaches, and out there, go nice on the umps and the refs. Treat your kids with respect, and for your kids out there, I hope you hit all your dreams, like I did not. But thanks a lot. We'll see you next week, guys.
see you later.